Subscribe and press the bell icon so you never miss an update from PrepLadder.
Hello friends, my name is Dr. Rajesh Kumar Mohan and I have secured All India rank 102 in UPSC Civil Services Examination 2020. In this video, I am going to talk about the various cadres, that how they are allocated to All India services, what are the good cadres, what are the so-called bad cadres, how one should fill the cadre preferences, how the cadre allocation happens. So before starting, I would like to tell about myself. This was my 5th attempt in UPSC Civil Services Examination. In 4th attempt, I went till interview stage and I got 129 marks. In the 5th attempt, I improved on it and I got 184 marks. Through this journey, I just feel that there is a solid way to prepare for UPSC personality test and you can certainly improve your score there. Now let's start about the cadre allocation policy of UPSC, and it is 2017 policy. So in fact, cadre allocation is considered a second result after UPSC Civil Services Examination. This is on account of the fact that the family of a person who is allocated a service holds a very great role, because a person should, wherever he or she goes, he or she takes his or her family with him or her, and there they have to see what kind of culture they are living in and what kind of autonomy that is there in the cadre. So cadre holds a central significance in All India services. So what are these All India services? There are 3 All India services: Indian Administrative Services, Indian Police Services and Indian Forest Services. For Indian Forest Services, prelims is the same, the mains and interview are a different thing. For IAS and IPS, through common examination, Civil Services Examination, the seats are allocated and as per the merit, cadres are allocated. Now, I would be telling you about how the zonal system operates, what is the significance of a home cadre, what is the value of dollar, how physically handicapped people are allocated, the cadres. So this is the broad idea how this cadre allocation happens. For cadre allocation, whole of the country has been divided into 5 zones. Zone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And within these zones, there are multiple states. For example, Zone 1 has Agmut, Haryana, Himachal Pradesh, Jammu and Kashmir, Punjab, Rajasthan, Uttarakhand. Similarly, Zone 2 like this, Zone 3, 4, 5. So the process of zonal system, how it operates is that first of all, they would go for order of preferences. Within the zone, you have to select order of preferences. Now, how is it done? For example, these zones are there. A person typically from, say, a state Haryana would be selecting it in a way that Zone 1 would be first preference, Zone 2 would be the second preference, Zone 3 the third, Zone 5 the fourth, and Zone 4 the fifth preference. Within these zonal preferences, the preferences are given to various states. For example, in case of this Haryana, generally people go for Agmut, then people go for Rajasthan, Punjab, Himachal, Uttarakhand. Now Jammu and Kashmir is a part of Agmut itself. Within the Zone 2, preference is Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Jharkhand, Odisha. Within Zone 3, Maharashtra, Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh. Within Zone 4, Assam, Meghalaya, West Bengal, Manipur, Tripura, Sikkim, Nagaland. Within Zone 5, it would be generally Karnataka, Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu and Kerala. So in this process, the system operates like this. First preference would be given to the first state of the first preference zone. After this, the first state of the second preference zone. then the first stage of the third preference zone, then the first state of the fourth preference state, and then the first of the zone 4, like the fifth preference state. After allocation of these 5, if there is still a vacancy, then they will go for the second round, where the second preference of the first preference zone would be taken into consideration. So this is broadly the way how the zonal system operates. There are, however, some other nitty-gritties associated with cadre allocation. So what are these nitty-gritties we will be discussing. Now this is how zonal system operates. Now there is something called insider and outsider while allocation of a cadre. Insider means a state, a person who belongs to say one state and is getting a vacancy in the same state. For example, a person is from Haryana and he or she is getting a cadre of Haryana itself, then that would be considered the insider seat. Now, how this process of allocation of various seats happens? Initially, state governments send requests to the union government requesting the number of All India service officers they need. After this, the central government, DOPT in case of IAS and Ministry of Home Affairs in case of IPS, they go and they have a roster system. On the basis of that roster system, these seats are allocated the categories and insiders and outsiders. General principle is that 1/3 of the people, the vacancies in a state would be insiders and 2/3 would be outsiders. After this allocation, these vacancies are displayed. This generally happens when the result is over, and then a separate vacancy list of IAS and IPS comes. When these vacancies are clearly available, then the process of service allocation happens. For that, multiple iterations are there. First iteration, second iteration, third iteration. So if suppose there are 180 vacancies in IAS, so 180 people would be allocated the service of IAS. After service allocation, cadre allocation will start. In cadre allocation, cadre allocation, first the insiders of a particular state would be allocated the vacancies. In this, luck plays a big role. Generally, it is said that home cadre is a kind of all and none principle. It is very much possible that you get a little bad rank and you may get your home cadre. For example, recently in 2020, it happened that Subhankar Bala, even though getting rank in 70s, was able to get West Bengal his home cadre while cadre allocation. However, the opposite can also happen. The opposite is that you get very good rank, say for example rank 2, she got very good rank, yet was not able to get the cadre of her choice. That is home cadre. So why is it so? Is because it depends a lot on how the vacancies are being arranged, and at the same time how other people who have passed the civil examination, what are their preferences, from which state have the result come good or bad. So based on all these considerations, home cadre becomes a very tricky thing. Now in the cadre allocation, if initially a person gets home cadre, then it is fine. But if a person does not get a home cadre, and there are provisions of marriage, that if a person goes for a marriage, they can go for change in cadre. In this also, there are provisions which clearly say that you cannot go back to your home cadre. So once you are not able to get your home cadre, it's very difficult, near impossible to get the home cadre back. So this thing you should consider. Now, after that, now in this process of zones and choices, people fill various choices on the basis of their merit, they get various cadres. So in this, multiple things are taken into consideration. Some people go for something called Delhi trick, where what they will do is that they have done studies in Delhi, so they will put Delhi as their home cadre, that is Agmut, and then in the state they are born, they can select it as an outsider. The benefit of that is that the number of vacancies for outsider is 2/3, so they will be getting more more vacancies to compete in. At the same time, later on also they can get the cadre converted to their state which they are born, because it is no more the home cadre. There are some challenging cadres in All India services. One of these challenging cadre is West Bengal. In West Bengal, it's very difficult to get deputation. So what is this deputation? Deputation is a process through which a person from a state can go to some other department or other ministry, another union, say from state government to the central government they can go. So this is in the later years of life, deputation holds very great significance, because people get to experience new fields, new diversity, new challenges, and new opportunities. So based on this, the West Bengal is considered a challenging cadre. One of the reasons why it is so is because the number of All India services officers in West Bengal is very limited. Now second comes the Tamil Nadu. In Tamil Nadu, the state services are more powerful. Because of that, the AIS services get less of positions of responsibilities. For example, it is generally said that DM, it's very difficult that a person of IS would be getting the DM position in Tamil Nadu. It's generally those IS officers who have been promoted from the state services, they get that post of DM. Third is Kerala. In Kerala, the challenge is rather an opportunity that you do not get the kind of facilities that are generally associated with a cadre like Uttar Pradesh. After that, there are 2-3 tricks that people use in order to take advantage of this, how this zonal system operates. One trick is that they will put Delhi as their home state and they get the cadre of their place of their birth. Second is that generally in Sikkim state, the vacancies are very less, or sometimes they have not come. In 2020, it did come, but that is an exception. So because of that zone is kept while the operational zonal system. Then there is generally a competition in North India whether to select zone 2 or zone 3 as a preference. Those people who feel more confident in their mains result, they generally prefer zone 2, because the first state in zone 2 is Uttar Pradesh, which is considered a very good cadre. Those people who feel that their marks would be little less and they would be getting a rank which is on the lower side, so they prefer zone 3 over zone 2, because in that case, in the second line of cadre allocation, they would be getting Gujarat over Bihar. So all these tricks are used in order to get a cadre of their choice. After this, there are also differences between cadres of IAS and IPS. Those states which have a commissionerist system, they are more powerful for IPS officers. So because of that, there are 2 states, Maharashtra and Agmut, which are very good for an IPS officer to work in. Finally, how the system operates in case of EWS and PH candidates. In EWS, general vacancies are considered as EWS vacancies. So the allocation happens after the general category. Second is with regard to physically handicapped candidates. There, it's only 2 cadres. They are given a choice to select only 2. Rather than this elaborate system of so many cadres and zones, they have to select first their home cadre and the second any nearby cadre. So it's the responsibility of the government to allocate cadres in one of these states. So how it operates is that in the home cadre, they would have to compete the non-physically handicapped candidates, while in case of second category nearby state, either they will get the cadre on their own, or a new seat would be created so that they get that particular cadre. So only 2 choices are there for PH candidates. Finally, you would have seen the dollar mark written on the results. So these are those candidates who have belonged to a particular category, and yet they had cleared all the stages with general qualifying marks. So in that case, the provision is that in the home cadre, they would be getting the best one, that is based on their category as well as their if they are getting their home cadre, they would be given an advantage of the category. But in case of non-home cadre outsider, they would have to compete, go as per the vacancies that are allocated to the general category candidates. So this was all about the cadres. Cadres play a very important role in all India services, and I hope this video will help you, and thank you so much for watching it.